let's talk to start with about some of the tools that you will need to start freelancing. Well, obviously you're going to need a computer and an internet connection. Now, the type of computer you need will depend on what you want to do. If you're just doing word processing, any old computer will do. When you move into graphics design and video processing and stuff like that, you're going to need a newer computer. Why? Because it's going to take forever. I have a number of computers here at home, and I have one in particular that I use to record my videos on. It's an old machine and I love it, but it's reliable. It has very, very good sound quality compared to most of the others. So I tend to record my videos on there. But when it comes to processing them, a normal video will take 10 to 15 minutes to process on the old machine. It'll take longer on if it's a longer video, but an average video, we're talking 10 to 20 minutes. On my much newer machine that's only about 6 months old, I can process the same video on there in about 3 or 4 minutes. So you can see there's a big difference in productivity. You don't want to be sitting there waiting for the computer to do something for ages. I mean, it may be that initially you don't have a choice, in which case that's fine. But as soon as you can, if that's the case, buy a newer computer so that you can work faster. Freelancing is about how much work can you do. The more work you can do, the more you can earn. So if you're spending 4 out of every 8 hours worked waiting for your computer to do something, that's a massive amount of time wasted. And in which case you need to either buy a second computer or buy a newer computer. Okay? Now, you also need, and I'm going to stress this quite strongly, you need to have some form of backing up your data as a freelancer. The reason being, I want to imagine you've been working for 3 months on this project for someone. The client's paying you $12,000 for 3 months' work, which is reasonably good. $12,000. So you've been working for 3 months on this project for them, and it's almost completed. You just got a few little tweaks to do, and you'll deliver it tomorrow, and they'll pay you $12,000 in your bank account. You start typing away, and then your computer comes up with a blue screen, and all goes dead. You switch it off, and you reboot it, nothing happens. You reboot it again, and again, and again, and nothing happens. The hard drive's failed. What do you do? Well, if you're me, you sort of shrug your shoulders, go reach for your backup disk and restore yesterday's data. If you're most people, you promptly run around the house, the garden, the neighbourhood, screaming, panicking, because you haven't got backup. So many people don't back up, and I will admit, I was one of them. But I saw the light and was converted. I was converted on the day that my hard drive failed, and I lost about 3 or 4 months worth of work and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of software and products that I'd purchased. Luckily, a lot of the work I had backed up on one of my web servers because it was web work. I uploaded it frequently, so there was copies on there, so that wasn't too bad. But all the software that I bought, it took me months to go through, find receipts, download it again. It was a lot of downtime. I went out a week later, once I'd sort of recovered my sanity. I went out and I purchased what's known as a RAID array. It's a little box, a little black box with 2 discs in. They're 2 half a terabyte discs, and they're mirrored, which is RAID 1, I believe, which basically means that it appears as one disc to the computer. It appears as one half a terabyte drive. But what happens is when it writes data to one disc, it writes it to the other. So should one disc fail, the other disc is still got my data on, so I'm safe. The chances of both discs failing together are absolutely minimal, but the chances of one failing by itself is much higher. So now what I do at the end of every day, I copy all my files. Either I work directly on the RAID array, or if I'm working off my laptop and I'm moving around, I'll copy the files from there onto my laptop so that I can work on them. At the end of the day, they get copied back onto my RAID array, and they're there and they're safe. So the most I'm ever going to lose if there's a problem is sort of a day's work, which isn't too bad. If you've been working on a big project and it all goes horribly wrong and you lose everything, you've got a serious problem. If you've got to try and recover sort of 3 months' work in a week, it's going to be almost impossible. It could put you out of business. It could open you up to lawsuits and all sorts. So initially, you may want to buy some writable DVDs and back everything up to writable DVDs. You may want to get external USB pen or hard drive or something similar like that to back it up onto. When you get a bit more money in, you could look at the RAID array. You're talking probably sort of $300-ish, $200 to $300 for one of those, possibly slightly more. But it's worth getting one. It really, really is. So that's something for you to consider doing. I'm just saying this because I know of people who haven't done this. I was fortunate, but I know of people who haven't been so fortunate and have literally been put out of business because they have not backed up their data. And I've seen it in companies. When I used to work for IT companies, I would often see, I mean, I will never forget years and years ago, in the good old days of the floppy disks, I remember one of the companies I worked for, I used to do IT support, and I remember going up to the accounts department, and there was this big burly guy in tears at his desk, and I'm absolutely serious. He was a huge guy, he was well known for being a tough chap. He was broken down in tears on his desk, and he had been preparing the company accounts for 3 weeks, and literally been working 20 hours a day. And I cannot understand why, but he didn't trust the company network, so he decided he would keep his work on a floppy disk. And floppy disks, as we those that remember them will verify, are notoriously unreliable. So he was sat there holding his disk, and he basically told me that 3 weeks worth of company accounts, which were due in I think that afternoon, they had to be submitted to the auditors, was gone because the disk had been corrupted, because he was using it in different machines and it just become corrupted. And there was nothing I could do to recover the data. I tried everything, and the only other option was to send it to a data recovery house, which would cost hundreds of dollars and possibly taken weeks, and again, no guarantee you could get anything back. So that was a very harsh lesson for him. And I do remember he got into some quite significant trouble for that from the company, and he stayed at the company, but it was touch and go for a while about whether he would be fired for that. So you do have to be careful with your data. A lot of people are very gung-ho about it and think, oh, it's on my computer, it'll be fine. Computers go wrong all the time. They fail regularly. So I know I've harped on about this quite a lot, but I really need you to understand that it's very important, because it could cost you your business. Now, if you're going to be doing some sort of writing, ghost writing for ebooks or articles or anything like that, you're going to need a word processor. Microsoft Office has Word in it. OpenOffice has a word processor. If you use Microsoft Windows, you have Notepad and WordPad. Both of those will be pretty good. If you're doing writing, you want to deliver stuff typically in rich text format, or ask what format they want. Don't just deliver it in Microsoft Word assuming they have it, or OpenOffice. Not everybody does. So check the format your clients want the work first. If you're recording, you want to get a good quality microphone. I would recommend a USB microphone. There's a very nice Samsung one you can buy on eBay for sort of $100 to $150. It's got a pop shield with it so that you don't get the blowback on the microphone from the p and the s sounds. So it helps improve the quality of the recording. It also has an anti-vibration cradle, which basically means I can bang the cradle and it doesn't make that tapping noise on the microphone. So if you're going to be recording, it's worth picking up one of those. If you're going to try recording on a headset mic or anything else, be prepared to do a lot of cleaning up of your recording, because you end up with all sorts of interference and your heavy breathing. There's nothing worse than listening to a recording which sounds like someone making a perverted phone call to you. You've got to be careful about that, and that's too easy to do with a headset microphone. I mean, I have used one. I did start with one for quite some time, and you've got to get the positioning right so that your breathing isn't going into the microphone. If you're going to be recording videos, you're going to need Camtasia or Cam Studio. Cam Studio is free. Camtasia is going to cost you money. Both are perfectly capable of doing the job. Camtasia obviously has more bells and whistles, but you may not need them all. You may only need what Camtasia offers you. If you're going to be recording audio, you need some sort of audio software like SoundForge. That's a free piece of software you can use. Not going to cost you a penny. Very simple, and it will allow you to record audio books and the like. You may also need to you may be a programmer. Do you need to have Microsoft's C++ or whatever it's called nowadays toolkit? Do you need a PHP toolkit? Again, things like PHP, Python, HTML stuff. You can Java. You can download the toolkits pretty much for free off the internet. If you're going for something like the Microsoft programming languages, you may well need to pay for it, but you may have a copy already. If you're going to be doing graphics, you're going to need something like Photoshop or GIMP. The advantage of Photoshop is it has action scripts, which allows you to take a flat image and convert it into a CD, a book, a DVD, or whatever. GIMP is free, and but doesn't have the action scripts, but you could still use it. Photoshop will cost you money, but you can often pick up an older version of Photoshop for under $100 on eBay. Make sure it's a legitimate copy though, so that you can upgrade it in the future if you want to. But quite often, by buying software a couple of versions behind on eBay, you can get all the features that you need at a fraction of the cost. If you're doing graphics for people, you may have to deliver the graphics as the PSD files so that they can get other people to edit them or sell them as PLR. Let's go on a bit. So, one thing you do need to remember, a lot of people sit there and go, oh, I can't spend money on that. But remember, any tools that you purchase for your business can be written off against tax. So it's not really an expense. It's going to help offset your earnings. So it is worth buying the tools. Your computer as well, your microphone can all be offset against tax. Now, most tools that you're going to need, you can find open source or free versions. They may not have all the functions, but they will be able to do the job. It may be a case of you're going to have to make do for a little while, and then later on, when you have some more money, then you can purchase the stuff that you really want. But initially, you might not have the finances to do that. But probably you have all the tools that you need right there to leverage the skills you have. And you can often train yourself in these tools whilst you're earning. So, if you want to practice your graphics design and you're already reasonably skilled, you may get freelancing jobs and teach yourself more about it, or teach yourself about other pieces of software. I learn all sorts of bits and pieces about software and internet marketing technologies and websites through the client work I get. I get told, can you produce a video set on something? And the answer is, yeah, of course I can. Off I go, learn about it, produce the videos. Most of the time I know a reasonable amount about it anyway, but quite often you need to train yourself in stuff. And it's a good way, as you train yourself, so you can increase your earning potential from it. But most of the tools you will want, you will have. And those that you don't have, you can purchase over time. You may have to make do a little with the free versions to start with, but don't panic. As you bring in more money from your freelancing work, you can reinvest that in your business and buy a newer computer and newer tools.